You are listening to the On the Blueline podcast, covering the National Hockey League and more hockey news. Here are your hosts now, Phil Bernardi and Chad Van Doorzen. Hi, and welcome, folks. This is the On the Blueline podcast with Phil Bernardi and my host,
Chad Van Doorzen.
We'd like to welcome you to a nice playoff edition. Well, it's been a crazy first round so far, Chad.
Very unexpected one, Phil.
I mean, there's been some games that have been really, really good and some series that have been really great so far, and then some that have been kind of doozies, including the Blackhawks.
Yeah, that was a sure disappointment.
Yeah, to see them get swept by the Predators. I mean, the Predators came out flying, but we'll cover that a little bit later. We're giving you a little bit of a tease. Today is, April 21st. Today there's two games on. Ottawa's taking on Bruins, and Ottawa's up 3-1 in the series against Boston, while the Capitals take on the Maple Leafs in Washington. The series is tied 2-2, and that one has been high flying.
Yeah, along with these playoffs, it's always unpredictable, but this is definitely a different, it's definitely a different feel than most seasons.
Yeah, this season it's kind of been gung-ho in the playoffs so far. I mean, everybody comes flying in the first round because it's always the hardest round to win, that everyone says. And you can see why with everyone coming in like a missile on the forecheck, which we were talking a little bit about earlier. And we'll get into a little bit more of that later, since Edmonton won last night in overtime to have a nice 3-2 series lead over the Sharks in Game 5.
Those Rangers and Canadians, they've been going back and forth in overtime a lot.
And speaking of that, the Rangers pulled a win out in overtime. I mean, that was a very important win for the Rangers.
Game 5's always, according to statistics, was 75-80%. Whoever wins Game 5 usually wins the series.
Yeah, usually 3 out of 4 times. Excuse me. But I got to say, I mean, that's really big for the Rangers, though. I mean, their only true star player, I guess, would be Rick Nash. And he's, sort of in the twilight of his career. But he's been learning to go to the paint. Yeah,
I mean, he's known and criticized as a regular season player only, but now you see him going to the paint. It's paying dividends.
Oh, yeah, he's been one of their better players, and, contract-wise, he should be. McDonough got, hit kind of funny. He got sandwiched between Pacioretty and Radulov, and he kind of looked a little dizzy. But he came back to play. Lundqvist, this has been good for his morale since coming back from injury. He let up a couple 6-goal games. So
yeah, it's good to see from Henrik. I mean, we love him.
Yeah, I mean, he's 35. I'd like to see him win a cup. I mean, he's gonna have his number up in the rafters at Madison Square Garden,
without a doubt.
I mean, maybe one of the greatest number 30s to ever play the game.
Yeah, I mean, by far. I mean, it's just disappointing to see him in the regular season, not do so well. But he's definitely those guys. He's mature. He's got veteran experience in the postseason, and I mean, that's why they keep him.
I would say he's maybe one of the true captains on that squad.
Oh yeah.
You don't gotta have a letter to be a leader.
Yeah, I mean, along with that, they have younger players, and they have, they don't have necessarily a core, but with Henrik Lundqvist being there, I definitely agree with that.
Well, the Anaheim Ducks swept the Calgary Flames, and I was a little disappointed in that series as well.
Yeah, I didn't see Calgary falling like that.
I would have thought Calgary would have at least won one game against Anaheim, but it's Brian Elliott, and he seems to wilt like a dead flower in the playoffs.
Hey, I'll tell you what, the Ducks were the team in the regular season, obviously. They played a good regular season without a doubt.
And they picked it up towards the end.
They picked it up towards the end, which is where it matters the most. And it follows through in the playoffs, and, they're obviously a well-built postseason team, and that's the result. Yeah,
I mean, you hope it rides into the playoffs. Look at San Jose. They're kind of reeling right now, but they have an older squad. Whereas the average age for the Oilers is around 26 years old. I mean, McDavid just turned 20 in January, and he's the captain.
Yeah, and you're also seeing a lot from the Oilers. You're seeing their speed, you're seeing their grit, and, San Jose, it seems like a lot of these teams with an experienced core, they're slower, they're looking for more precision versus grinding it out, and
Well, I mean, San Jose knows what to do. They just went to the finals last year, but yeah, it's been a little bit of a learning curve for Edmonton. Cam Talbot had a couple shutouts, and then the next game let up like 5 goals got pulled, and they got lost. I think 7-0.
Yeah.
In Game 4, but then they had a nice strong Game 5, and then ended up winning it out up in Edmonton in that new palace of a rink.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous looking.
Oh man, Wayne Gretzky was happy last night. So the Minnesota Wild down 3-1 to St. Louis Blues. I mean, the Blues are looking like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, they are, and you wouldn't expect it against Minnesota, who played, well. They had up and downs in the regular season.
Yeah, and just like we said, you got to finish strong. They kind of didn't finish so strong in the regular season, and it's kind of bled into the playoffs in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, Dubnyk was having terrible confidence issues.
And that's the key factor. If Dubnyk goes down, it seems like the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, man. Fair enough. And on the opposite end, Jake Allen just looks cool as a cucumber, man. He looks so comfortable in that. He's been playing the puck a lot better than he has in the regular season. I guess he's been working with Brodeur, who's, in the front office with the Blues. I guess they fired their goalie coach, and Brodeur's now the goalie coach.
Yeah,
that's one guy you really want to learn from.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, he's, a big part of that organization, and now he's, the goalie coach. And, that transformation after, they got rid of Hitchcock and Mike Yeo became the coach. I mean, Jake Allen and the rest of the team, they responded, and,
Yeah, Tarasenko's been tearing it up. They got their grinders like Samford. I forget a couple of guys' names off the top of my head, but they have a bunch of grinders on that third and fourth line. Oh, they got Sabatka back from the KHL even.
Yeah, and he's not looking to,
He hasn't really missed a step.
Yeah, exactly.
That perfect fourth line center, wins you the draws, gets to the front of the net, does some grinding down in your own zone.
Yeah, they got Paul Stastny back.
Yeah, that was a big, addition from the injury.
Yeah.
Injured reserve. So I got to say, St. Louis will probably, win Game 5 and close the series out.
Yeah, it's more likely. I mean, Minnesota just looks beat.
They look defeated. I mean, even Coach Boudreau in the last presser he was given after the game, he just looked like the balloon was let all the air out.
Yeah, I mean it's bad.
I feel bad for Minnesota just because they've done so well, but hey, man, it's the playoffs. You got to bring it, otherwise, you'll get bounced out. Look at the Blue Jackets. I mean,
that was tough. I couldn't. I thought the Blue Jackets were better. I thought,
I thought this year they might actually do something, but man, maybe they're just too young also. But you got to say that the Oilers only got one guy I think with deep playoff experience, and that's Lucic.
Yeah.
Whereas Columbus has Hartnell, Jack Johnson, several good players that have been in the playoffs several years, and then you got a good goalie in Bob Rofsky. He got exposed.
And you know what? I mean,
he would overcommit, try to use his reflexes too much, and got lit up, man. I felt bad for him.
It's a big surprise. I mean, they're a good regular season team that seemed like they played, great hockey, the way that the postseason style hockey throughout the season.
Yeah, exactly. I thought, that would translate exactly to what they needed in the postseason, but they just, I guess, really ran into a wood chipper in Pittsburgh. I mean, as much as I dislike Pittsburgh, they just, talk about a well-oiled machine. They were just
speed kills, and that's what Pittsburgh does.
Well, not only that, they just, because they're defending champs. They know what to do. They just have their grinders working. They're just rolling their lines.
Yeah, and their new additions, it starts with the K. Kunetzel?
Oh, Gunsel?
Gunsel.
And Kunako. They were there last year.
I
think Gensel's a rookie, excuse me.
Gensel, right. Gensel, just came in against that Flyers game that we previewed in the past, and it was just like, who is this guy? All of a sudden, he's a big piece of the puzzle, and it's like...
Yeah, he had a hat trick one game.
Yeah.
Including the OT winner.
Yeah, I mean, along with that, the guys who aren't part of that core, their core does a good job in including those guys, and that's what makes a difference. That's how you add your depth, and that's how your depth works for you.
Yeah, like Sheary and Rust,
Exactly.
And they got a good guy that'll stand in front of the net and Hornquist, so that never doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, he's skilled and he's, pure power forward.
Oh, most definitely. And, of course, having the best player in the world in Sidney Crosby doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, one more thing I want to add, too, is Matt Murray is injured, and they responded back with Fleury. I think they, sometimes when you lose that starting goalie, it makes you play better. And, whatever works for Pittsburgh, that definitely seems like that was another case.
Yeah, Matt Murray went down in warm-ups. He wasn't expecting to get a puck shot at him when he was focusing on another shooter, and he got hit in the kneecap.
Oh, terrible.
So there's no update on him other than a lower body injury. But we'll go to the Washington-Toronto series because now, man, that one, Game 5's tonight, April 25th, or 21st, at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And Toronto, Austin Matthews is flying. Nylander's dishing the puck out well. Mitch Marner's, going around and around and around. Anderson hasn't been playing so well. Freddie Anderson, their goalie. And neither has Holtby for that.
Really well. Game 2, Anderson was on fire.
Yeah. Him and Holtby had good game 1 and 2s, but I think lately it just has been kind of a bungled mess.
Yeah, and neither one wants to make a mistake, but having that fear of making mistakes is a way to make mistakes, and
yeah, that's why the series is all tied up. It's awesome to see Toronto doing good for a young team, but I also would like to see the Capitals do well too. This is just as hard as a series to root for as Edmonton and San Jose.
Oh yeah, with the Capitals, it seems like they just breeze through the regular season and they're just a dominant team, dominant force. They feel like they're entitled to the cup almost versus having to battle for it.
Well, I think last year they had that feeling. This year they just, wanted to get to the end, and they just happened to steamroll teams to get to the end.
Yeah.
By winning their second straight President's Trophy. But, if they can't close out a first-round series, they can't. What good is that?
No. They have so much skill. They have, everything going for them. All 4 lines, their rotations, and, it all connects. What happens is I think that with these top lines on Washington is that they're overconfident.
I can see them, playing around with the puck a little bit too much. Yeah. But they've been efficient. Ovechkin's been efficient. Backstrom's been efficient. Oshie's been efficient. Their defense has been too. Alsner's been here, done that with the Caps. He's a solid defenseman you need in the playoffs, but it's just, it's kind of been, exactly a game of mistakes. Excuse me.
Yeah, and Toronto was able to capitalize on that. They have a great coach in Babcock who has no issues with getting a team prepared. He did a great job with Detroit, just like he's doing a good job in Toronto. Give credit also to the players. They're the young kids, they're riding that energy, man. Yeah. They're riding it, and I kind of hope it doesn't end for them, It's but you do.
It's the hockey mecca. Fan. It's the hockey mecca, Toronto, but I would like to see Ovi win a cup too. It's kind of hard to see some guys that haven't won a cup.
Lundqvist.
Yep. Yeah. So now we'll go back to the Nashville Predators and Blackhawks series.
This one hurt.
Well, a little bit before we get that, we're brought to you by a sponsor from the State of Hockey. The State of Hockey is Minnesota due to numerous amateur and collegiate hockey teams, as well as the Minnesota Wild, who unfortunately might get bounced out in Game 5. We're also on JetCastRadio.com, WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, and WJOB1230.com. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and I think we got an Instagram too.
Instagram, yeah.
So, just got to say, I didn't see the Hawks getting swept.
No one saw that. I tell you what, though, I think that Nashville is definitely a better team than a second wild card team. They just, they lost to Subban throughout the season, and I guess that was it was pretty. It was a huge setback, and once they got them back, they steamrolled. They got hot, and as they were getting hot, the Hawks during the regular season they slumped the last 12, 11 games, and I feel like as the way you end the season and the way you enter it, it's it's one of those impacts.
Yeah, the Hawks kind of were on cruise control. Excuse me, towards the end of the regular season, and I just thought they needed to have more energy, and Nashville definitely had a lot more energy, and they're coming out in game one, hitting, flying around. Rene gets a shutout in game one. Rene gets a shutout in game two and 2 assists. He looked like the Pekka Rene of old.
And along with that, yes, he played great. I mean, the Hawks didn't really get quality shots off, but when they did, he was on his game. Why I give credit to Pekka Rene is when you're not facing strong shots and you're still staying there for 60 minutes.
He had the mental toughness.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to really say about it.
Crawford, played excellent this series.
Awesome.
He just didn't have enough offensive help. And that's actually surprising coming from the Blackhawks.
Yeah, you know what, Phil? And you saw 2-3 goals, that were just, when the Hawks were gassed, you saw it in front of the net. The Hawks, the puck's just waiting there. And you see all 5 guys right by the net, but nobody's digging for it. Nobody's digging for it.
Everyone's bunched up and not working as a unit.
And those 3 goals that were scored, with the puck sitting in front of the net, just like every single loose puck throughout the game, they didn't battle for it. They wanted the puck on their stick. They just wanted to. They really felt like it. They should only have they weren't digging for the puck. So what I want to say is you can't just expect the puck to land on your stick. You have to go after it.
Right. Yeah, you got to imagine there's $100 bill on the puck, as my dad used to say.
But it really was simple as that. It was missed passes, turnovers. I mean, Jonathan Taves just dished it right to Philip Forsberg, and that was a near goal. Great save by Crawford.
Hosa's giveaway to lead to that goal.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Man, I think that was even the OT winner in one of them. Man, Hosa just gave it up at the blue line, and I forget who it was on the Predators just came in and ripped it past Crawford. I mean, of all the guys you expect to not do something, it's kind of Hosa.
Yeah, it was all, the mistakes weren't, it wasn't just inexperience from the youth. It was the veterans making the mistakes. And, I mean, how do you learn off, even going into next season?
Kane didn't look good. Taves looked awful, in my opinion. And I'm a Taves fan. Man, yeah. It feels bad to even say it, but he just looked not right, maybe. I don't want to say he was injured, but, man, he didn't play how he usually does in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's something going on. I think maybe it's frustration, with the organization and how the things are being kept. But he hasn't looked like the Taves even during the regular season. He had that hot month in February, yes, but.
Yeah, he's always been a little bit of a streakier player now that he's gained a few more miles on his wheels. But yeah, I just was surprised he didn't have as much determination. I mean, when Marcus Kruger. He's a really great player, a really key, solid player, and somehow all the Swedes are super efficient like that.
Yeah, they're all great role players in the NHL.
Bingo. And it was the top 5 player for the Hawks every game. I mean, solid. I mean, you can't ask for a third, fourth line center to be any better than that. But you gotta have your star players playing their freaking best. I mean. That's what they get paid the big bucks for.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, Marcus Kruger was the veteran leader. Now, if that was Jonathan Taves, that team would have thrived off of him. But that wasn't Jonathan Taves, that was Marcus Kruger, a role player.
Mm-hmm. If it was Taves, it would probably be 4-0 the other way.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. But, they didn't follow Marcus Kruger's footsteps, unfortunately.
Look at this, turning into the Marcus Kruger podcast. Oh man, but I just gotta say it was kind of disappointing for me. I'm more an Avalanche fan, but I still root for the Hawks, and just to see them get swept in the first round, I don't think that's happened in like 20 years for the first seed.
1993 it was.
There you go, 24 years.
Yeah, I mean that was back then when they were the gritty team everyone's talking about wanting to go back to apparently, but they won 3 cups playing their style of hockey.
When you play 3 cups in 5-6 years. That's like almost 82 game season, and add got to get 16 wins in the playoffs. Add a few losses to that mix. You're playing about 20 games in the postseason, playing about 90 to 105 games a year for 5-6 years straight.
Yeah.
Kudos to the organization and the players on the Blackhawks for keeping the drive going, not losing the determination. You really got to commend them for that.
No doubt. I mean, it's
that's really
especially in a
that's
salary cap cringed era.
Yes, but that's focus. And now, speaking of the salary cap, I kind of feel like we'll have to examine this a little further on in a few more podcasts later on this season. We're going to come up with a nice special Blackhawks edition for you listeners out there for when the Stanley Cup playoffs are over. We'll have a nice end of the calendar year for the NHL. We'll have a nice review of the Blackhawks season. But just, I really can't believe that all their forwards just didn't
connect.
Yeah, it just is kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. They should have had a lot more. They had chances, but they should have had a lot more chances, especially in Game 1.
Yeah, I felt like they could have created a lot more, but it's like they're wasting their time with this breakout that's clearly not working. These guys, the Nashville Predators have 4 or 5 guys back, and they have one guy maybe threatening, going across the blue line, and then
they're playing like a 1-4 or a 1-2-2.
Yeah, or
even a 1-1-3.
I didn't see a 1-1.
A deep forward checker, and then you got one guy in the neutral zone, and then 3 along the back blue line. I saw it a couple times, man. They really just clogged it up, especially on the power play where the Hawks like to load up the blue line and have Keith bring it in.
Yeah, that too. And as you saw, that they had a lot of patience. They were playing that north-south hockey style, and they knew that they could beat the Chicago's older defensemen, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they had a good east-west game too, especially along the boards. When the pucks would be along the boards, they'd have one guy tie up, and the second guy would just come right in and get the puck right out.
Yeah, and it looked like the Hawks, they looked like they were, it's like they were all 300-pound guys compared to first 100.
Yeah, that's true, man. They looked like they had some heavy legs out there. I mean, up in age and playing all those games all these years, but it's just still surprising.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, and they'll be back, and we'll see what they do, and again we'll talk about it and see what we hope or what we think they should do.
Yeah, it was actually a great regular season for the Hawks. They did great. I mean, both their goalies were great. They had awesome forwards, defense. They made good moves, but now we'll do an evaluation later on. Compare them to how some teams have done throughout the playoffs as the playoffs go around. I mean, seeing some of these second round matchups could be fun. I mean, when you got St. Louis in there, Nashville in there, Anaheim in there, you got Ottawa in there. The only retrend that's really gone deep that's in so far is Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, and that's right. A lot of the teams that didn't make the playoffs this year, or last year, were short this year, and a lot, there's a lot of new teams in this thing. I mean, Columbus.
They made an appearance for the first time in a couple of years. Toronto, the first time in
long time.
Yeah.
Boston.
And then Edmonton, the first time in 10 years since they went to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Hurricanes after the first lockout.
I think Calgary too.
Yeah, Calgary. They've been in it a couple times. They got bounced out by Detroit a few years when they had Mika Kiprusoff as their goalie.
Yeah, but I mean, last year I don't think they were.
No, I have to agree with you there. It's been refreshing seeing some fresh teams. I mean, it's good seeing the Canadians in there. Boston, but it's going to be a cool second round. I mean, the only series that, right now are still up in the air is Edmonton and San Jose in the West. And then you have Montreal, New York, and Washington, Toronto in the East.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have Pittsburgh's in. Ottawa can clinch it tonight. They're up 3-1 versus the Bruins. We have the Ducks, we have the Blues, and we have the Predators.
Well, it's not for sure about the Blues and the Blues and whether they're in or not, but
they have a
most
pretty
likely.
pretty sound lead, 3-1 I should say, over Minnesota, and Minnesota's reeling. And they'll be back up in Minnesota tomorrow night on April 22nd. Well, this has been a great podcast. I mean, I can't wait for round 2. We'll be back with some more coverage. We like to keep up to date in the playoffs, so you can keep following us on Facebook because we regularly post it. We're at On the Blue Line on Facebook. And we just got to say thank you again for listening, folks. We love bringing you this coverage. It's exciting. This first round has been really, really fun to watch. I mean, I think I've had more fun watching this first round more than the past few years. It's been more exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like I said, the new teams, and I mean, whatever it takes, from going from the regular season and, being, having this expectation and being wrong or being right. It's always fun.
Oh, yeah. And it's when the Stanley Cup rolls around, maybe we should make a little proposition.
What's that?
A little bet when the Stanley Cup rolls around.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to see who's in it. We'll have to pick a conference. But thanks again for listening, folks. We love to have you guys tuning in. Please subscribe. Make sure you tell our friends. We're also on jedcastradio.com as well as YouTube, Facebook, WJOB 1230 AM and 104.7 FM, WJOB1230.com. I mean, we are nice and all over the place. It's great to be on the internet, man, and we love bringing the hockey podcast to the region in the Chicagoland area here in Northwest Indiana and Illinois. We were sad to see the Hawks go down. I mean, in flames.
Yeah.
But it's still been an exciting first round.
No doubt. One thing I wanted to,
before we sign off,
I'd like to hear some comments from our fans, a lot more often.
Yeah, if you guys have any feedback or want to shoot a question or, have a comment about something that we covered, feel free to shoot us a tweet at Blueline Podcast or check us out and give us a direct message or a post on our Facebook page or even on our YouTube channel on this episode when it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
You guys can always comment and ask us questions. We're always happy to answer. But thanks again, listeners, guys and gals. Enjoy the first round because we know the rest of the first round because we know we have, and it's going to get even tougher once the second round happens. Once the second round happens, we'll post up the matchups on our Facebook page.
All right, so ready to sign off?
Oh, yeah. What do you want to do, Chad? How do you want to take it out?
Oh, it's on you.
All right. Well, for myself, Phil Bernardi, and my partner,
Chad Anderson,
we like to bring you the On the Blue Line podcast. Thanks again for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen.